Welcome back, one and all, to the Daily Report. I'm John Iadarola, and I'm realizing a couple of things right now. First of all, with the rundown we have, I'm very excited for the guest that we have in today's show. That is, of course, Wosny Lambre. Woz, how's it going?
Going fantastic. Happy to finally be back on with you guys.
Very glad to have you here. And I'm also realizing something. So normally, this is behind the scenes stuff. Normally, Edwin is here, our awesome, like, on location person. And technically, I know how to set up everything in this studio to get it going. I technically do not need him to be here, but I am realizing right now that I didn't do something I need to do to the preview monitor. It's gonna be kind of hell if I don't fix it. So I'm just gonna do it live. This happens all the time on Anderson Cooper's show, by the way, where he gets up from his desk.
This absolutely never happens on CNN, John.
There we go. Don Lemon couldn't get through a show without having to adjust something on his preview monitor live. Anyway, I can't wait until Edwin sees that and just makes terrible fun of me on Slack. But anyway, that's all fixed now. We're all good. It's all professional from here on out. That's why I get invited on CNN the way that I do. But anyway, okay, Woz, it's been a little bit since you've been on. There have been a lot of developments in the economy and polling. Things are pretty crazy. We've had a couple of rounds of special elections and everything. So just super fast before we jump into the specifics, what's your overall feeling about the state of American politics right now?
I feel positive because for the first time in a little while, it feels like there's some movement. Now, in the meantime, our president is doing some extremely destructive things, particularly right now in South America and in the Caribbean.
Yes.
But in terms of, Republicans resigning and, even the likes of a Jasmine Crockett, who, full disclosure, I don't really care for. I'm not gonna cry if she wins, good for her. But the idea that she would get this level of pushback that she's gotten on the internet for her crypto stuff and being bought and paid for by the APAC people, like again, I find that to be heartening. Like, again, even if she wins, it is what it is. But this sort of general malaise that I felt like has been on the left and liberal side of the aisle, that's pretty much started once Obama got elected. And continued on into trying to trot Hillary out there and continued on into, no, Sleepy Joe is fine. I think we're finally moving into something different, which I'm heartened by. I know that's like small potatoes, but we gotta cling to the good news that we actually have.
I don't think that heightened morale or expectations, having standards, that's not small potatoes at all. I think that that's great, and yeah, I like that there is that pushback. I like a lot about Jasmine Crockett, and if she managed to win a Senate seat in Texas, I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But also, you're not wrong about those criticisms. I don't want to talk about them because then she'll stop coming on our show, which she does constantly. but no, overall, it's not inaccurate, and I like that people feel like they can push back in that way. Anyway, okay, glad to get that vibe. I'm sure we're gonna talk a lot about some of the stuff you were talking about right there. We're gonna jump into our first story in a second. By the way, I'm looking past the camera and in the control room, I see Edwin walking and he just goes, so the show has started off so smoothly. This is why I make the medium bucks. Okay, with that said, we do have a lot to talk about. So hit the like button, share the stream, send us your comments, your tweets, your super chats, all that as we jump into our first big topic, which I think Woz is gonna be very much into, starting with this.
It's been an interesting day from the standpoint of news. As you probably know, we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, large tanker, very large. Largest one ever seized, actually. And other things are happening, so you'll be seeing that later, and you'll be talking about that later with some other people.
Yes, it's very exciting. From the standpoint of news, yeah, we've turned into pirates, I guess. Basically, I was a fan of those Johnny Depp movies or whatever. I prefer them in the realm of fiction, but yes, we've seized a tanker, the biggest one we've ever seized. Do you know why? I looked it up. Do you know why this is the biggest one we've ever seized? Because we don't seize tankers. We don't generally engage in acts of piracy to sort of gin up support for a war in Venezuela, which is what all of this is about. We're not gonna pretend that it's something else. It's about fentanyl or whatever. It's not about any of that. It's about getting people ready for war. And we're gonna talk about that. I just wanna briefly mention, oh, so we can seize boats? So you can actually just go and take you don't have to blow it up. If you want to, you can actually seize it. And you seized a massive tanker, but you can't seize a little speedboat with like 2 dudes on it and some cocaine, supposedly. You can't seize that. Okay, interesting the way that works out. But yeah, no, we're concerned about this. We're concerned that this is just another big step on the path towards war. Let's get a little bit more from Trump and see if that reassures us.
What happens to the oil on this ship?
Well, we keep it, I guess.
Where does it go? What port does it go to?
Well, you have to follow the tanker. You know, you're a good newsman. Just follow the tanker.
Do you know where it's going?
Follow it. Get a helicopter and follow the tanker.
Is it true he's going to?
But I assume we're gonna keep the oil.
Yeah, I guess that's how that works. I mean, it's whatever he wants it to be at this point. We're not a nation of laws or the Constitution or anything like that. Maybe a judge will have a problem with it. That'll be a fun couple of minutes before the Supreme Court gives Trump whatever he wants. So yeah, we take it. And what are you asking me about whether we're gonna keep it? Of course we're gonna keep it. To Donald Trump's credit, he has been saying since like way back in Iraq and everything, just take the oil. He has been highly consistent on this for more than 2 decades right now. Just take it. Whatever we want is ours. We just take it. And so like that is obviously why we're going to war with Venezuela. And he's at least being forthright about it. It's to steal their resources. And so that's what we're gonna do. And to the media, just you go. You think I'm gonna like be like really clear with you about what's gonna happen to the boat and its crew and everything? No, you go get in a helicopter and you go. Maybe we'll shoot you down as well. We have a lot more on this, and we can bring up actually some B-roll of the seizure as I get your take, Woz. What do you make of this? Oh, Woz, I think you've muted yourself.
Sorry. I just want listeners to understand and make no mistake that this is an act of war. Just period. Just 2 counterexamples for people who don't understand it. Just off the top of my head, when the Houthis seized Israeli ships, again, not our ships, not even on behalf, not even our ships. You know, our ally Israel, they seized their ships in solidarity with the Palestinian cause. We bombed the hell out of them. We rained terror on them for retaliation for seizing Israeli ships because it's rightfully seen as an act of war. That's what we did. And that was just what we did on behalf of another country. Just imagine if it was one of our ships, because the Houthis strategically were like, yo, we're not touching American assets. We're just gonna go after Israeli ones. Okay, cool. Another example, when those Somali pirates sees that ship that movie that Tom Hanks movie is based on. Yeah. We sent all kinds of naval assets to that region. Cuz guess what? You're not allowed to do that stuff. And so again, make no mistake, guys, like this is an act of war. They're escalating their aggression against the Venezuelan government and its leader, Nicolas Maduro. And that's what this is. There's no other way to read this. And to John's point, you know, I honestly, I push back on the idea that this is about the oil simply because Maduro's already offered it. He's like, yo, I have no problem being a figurehead in this nation. We'll cut deals with whatever oil company you want. It's yours. You have it. You want gold? You got it. It's not really about that. It's about these crazy ass neocon foaming at the mouth South Floridians of Cuban and Venezuelan persuasion, many of whom in that Venezuelan and Cuban expat community, rich as hell people, by the way. And they're still butthurt over the fact that the leftists took Cuba in 1959 or whatever the hell it was. And they just refuse to get over it. And they see this Venezuela thing as a bridge. We kick Maduro out, install this sham Nobel Peace Prize winning lady, who's a complete fraud, by the way. And yeah, this would be the step to taking over Cuba. And that's what these people want. And literally, what American is actually served by any of this, John? That's what nobody's even. You gotta need to ask because they stopped with the fentanyl thing. Notice that's gone. If you notice that, we don't even talk about fentanyl anymore. So what is the utility for the American people that is being served here by starting an insane war over there?
Well, the only claim they've made, at least about the bombing of the boats, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, is that every boat that's blown up saves 25,000 lives or 1 million lives or 3 billion lives or whatever, some random number that Carolyn Leavitt made up or whatever. It's all BS. And so,
John, can I ask you something? You live in Los Angeles.
I do.
You think there's gonna be a lack of cocaine in this city from these actions?
I've never had any difficult finding any. I don't predict that I will. No, I've never done cocaine in my life. No, I think it's all gonna be fine, especially because
serious
blowing. Let's say that there is cocaine on these boats, which there probably isn't all the time. I don't think it's gonna affect the supply in LA to blow up ships that weren't going to the United States in the first place at all. And so look, maybe the resource thing is right. Maybe it's the political regime change thing that you say. Maybe it's 60-40 or 70.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. But what I do know is, so I'm not Gen Z or whatever. I've been around for a little bit. Okay, I was around for the ramp up to the war in Iraq. And it's beginning to feel a little bit like that with the talk about terrorists and how we have to protect our national security. And then they take one step closer and now we're seizing it.
And it's gonna be a cakewalk. Don't forget that part. That's the best part.
Definitely, yeah. 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
We're gonna be greeted as liberators.
Exactly. We're gonna win the hearts and minds. But anyway, to your earlier question, and I'll get some more details in after that, in terms of how it benefits people, I don't know. I don't feel like anybody gives a damn about this. I think that the propaganda to get people in the wake of 9/11 to support, I don't know, invade whatever country, they didn't even have to be involved in it, was pretty successful for a while. But I don't know, what American is we gotta take down Venezuela, who's doing that? And especially when there's so many things that they are calling for a solution to, and Trump is utterly ignoring those things and instead focusing on, oh God, yet another war. It's like he ping pongs from accepting peace prizes to just rerunning the Bush years. And so that's, if you're in MAGA or whatever, some MAGA people I'm sure are frustrated by this. But if you're not, I just want you to understand, you've thought for years that you're part of something new and cooler, edgier. You're not like those old Paul Ryan, Dick Cheney Republicans or whatever. No, if you're still on board with this, it's the same thing. It's just Bush. It's tax cuts, deregulation, health savings accounts, and invading countries. That's all it is. It ended up being the same thing. You talk about trans people more than Bush did, I guess. But other than that, it's just the Bush years again. But anyway, I want to just run through some of what people in DC are saying about this. Rand Paul says it sounds a lot like the beginning of a war. He's right. He says it's not the job of the American government to go looking for monsters around the world, looking for adversaries and beginning wars. And interestingly, he sounds a lot like Pete Hegseth there. Remember Pete Hegseth was doing his whole thing about we're not going to be the world woke police anymore. We're not going to do nation building, regime change. Oh, except for this, I suppose. Except for this and maybe Panama and maybe Greenland, maybe Iran and a whole bunch of other stuff. But he doesn't want to get tarred that way. Josh Hawley said he'll look into it as he walked into an elevator, running as fast as he has since probably January 6th or so. John Husted says he hasn't been briefed on the matter, so what's the point of talking about it? Roger Marshall says the seizure is news to me and that the US should be pushing back on Venezuela. He's concerned about the drug cartel that's running the country. So that's great. And Lindsey Graham has this whole long thing, multiple paragraphs about how it's so amazing that we're doing this. Maduro's regime of terror needs to end. Yes. They're literally just reposting the same things that they posted back in 2001, 2002, beginning of 2003. It's just feeling like that again. And we'll see if we end up trying the people who are on the boat, if we end up actually seizing the oil or whatever. It's all nonsense and it's moving in a terrible direction. But I want to get Waz's thoughts about, we're going to zoom out just a little bit. We all know that the American military gets a lot of money. Well, it's getting even more now under this new regime. Lawmakers just approved in the House almost $1 trillion in military spending. The vote was 312 to 112. So a lot of Democrats supported it too. And so 1 trillion in spending. I just want to be very clear to anybody who might be like starting to pay attention to politics for the first time. It's not $1 trillion to build the military from scratch. It's just $1 trillion for 1 year of the military we already have. It's sheer madness. And remember that number when you're told that we can't afford student loan forgiveness or Medicaid or extension of ACA subsidies or SNAP payments. We can't afford any of that stuff. And you should learn to accept a lower standard of living. Trump just said that at his rally. Your kid doesn't need $37. She can have $1 or $2. It's fine. We need to put that money into the military. And the vote ended up being held for more than an hour. Mike Johnson was trying to persuade more Republicans to support it. I'm not even really sure why, considering how overwhelming the vote was. But he wanted to get Paulina Luna and Tim Burchett and Marjorie Greene on board. Now, they eventually did flip. We don't know what Luna or Burchett or Boeberts needed to convince them to flip. But with Greene, we actually do. We know because she's telling us what it is that got her to flip to supporting a nearly $1 trillion military budget. And if you've been following Marjorie Greene for the past couple of months and starting to rethink, some stuff about her, just factor this into that calculus. She said, I made a deal and changed my no vote on the rule to a yes in exchange for a floor vote next week on my bill that is one of President Trump's key campaign promises and executive orders, okay? Oh, so it must be something really big. Leader Steve Scalise has promised me that my bill, Protect Children's Innocence Act, will be brought to the floor for a vote next Wednesday. This would make it a Class C felony to trans a child under 18. So Marjorie Greene was against this massive influx of additional spending that will be used to likely invade Venezuela, bomb Mexico, support Israel, all the stuff that we're doing. But set that aside, gotta stop them trans and them kids. I don't know, kind of feels like maybe she hasn't changed that much. But again, it doesn't really matter. The vote went through overwhelmingly, and we'll see what happens in the Senate. But what do you make of the military budget?
I mean, it's a travesty every single year, and it's bad. Honestly, we always clamor for bipartisanship, but the military is the one thing that is the ironclad bipartisan situation in our country, and it's awful. It's really awful. There is no dissent whatsoever on the military budget. Even just to tack back to the Venezuela thing, the Maduro thing, because I think it's very related. You can't find a Democrat that's criticizing this, like a major Democrat that's like, no, we shouldn't be doing regime. It's not out there. They agree with this crap. They believe in this militance and this posture against Venezuela. They really do think we should go in there and do a regime war. Chuck Schumer said, "Oh, I don't know about Trump's plan, but I think it's great if Maduro would leave." It's like there's no pushback against the war machine anywhere in our government, and it really sucks for us, the American citizens. That's one way that, again, we have that continuity going back decades. There's always going to be support for it, even if the American people have no interest whatsoever, even if it would be wildly unpopular. They would be willing to risk their reelection to ensure that this money goes to the contractors, and then they get there's other, like you were talking earlier about some of the political goals of this and all that. But that's other than tax cuts, that's their biggest priority. It always has been, and unless we do something drastic, it always will be. And this is an amazing chart. Who found this? Producer Ashley found this. So we're gonna spend this $1 trillion. Do you know that we and our direct allies spend 70% of all global military funds? We individually spend more on our military than every other country that isn't our ally combined. Russia, China, stack all of them up. If they put it all together, we spend more, just us, not our allies, just us, than all of the rest of them combined. And yet you, especially if you're a conservative, but even if you're a Democrat, you are told to be terrified every second of every day that it could all come crashing down any second now. And so
what are we buying? Because yeah, we're spending $1 trillion this year. What did we spend last year? 920 billion, 905 the year before. Has anyone ever gotten less of a return on investment that we get for our military spending in terms of a feeling of security? We always have to feel like just one person slipping across the border could tear apart this entire experiment. And yet we spend all this money, and we will year after year after year. Do you really believe that our actual safety would be truly imperiled if we cut that down to $250 billion a year? You don't think that we could defend our borders for $250 billion a year, and then we could spend the $700 billion that we save on health insurance, free college, whatever, investments into infrastructure, taking down the cost of electricity, building more affordable housing. We could do all of that stuff and be exactly as safe, likely safer, because we'd be spending less. Thus, we'd be getting involved in less stuff that generates so much animosity towards us. And yet this is the way that it goes. Woz?
I mean, there's just no other way to put it. Like, they present it as, oh, this is preventative, or this is a deterrent and all of that stuff. It's like, nobody's trying to go to war with America, but we literally have thousands of military bases globally. Yeah. And basically we spend a lot of this money to protect the empire. Why the hell else should we have a base in freaking Turkey? Like, what's the point of that, right? Like, what's the point of all these military bases all over the world if we're not gonna do this $1 trillion budget? It's insane. But again, God forbid a politician, an elected official, actually speak on behalf of the people and question the very existence of this empire. Like, who is it serving?
I will disagree with you on one thing. I do think it's preventative. It helps to prevent the stock price of these defense contractors from going down.
You goddamn right.
Let's stop that. Okay, we'll see if we can circle back to the strikes later on. We do have to take our first break. There's a lot more to talk about, including what's going on in Congress after this. Okay, everybody, let's see what's going on out there in the audience. Let's see. Tim McCaffrey says, "Ahoy, matey, John." And I set that aside not only because we're pirates now, but also for a long time, the cutest thing that my daughter learned to say was "Ahoy, matey." It was one of the first things she said, and I always loved it. CK Progressive says in a super chat, "We're hi from Michigan. We're still waiting to see if former head coach Sharon Moore will face assault charges from last night. Does Woz have any thoughts?" Is that what you were talking about earlier?
Yes, that's literally what I was talking about. I think that brother needs some help. He needs counseling. He needs all kinds of situations. He blew up his marriage allegedly for a young woman that was working in his employ, and that is unfortunate. And if the reports are to be believed, he threatened self-harm at the young lady's house. And so, yeah, I pray for his family. I wish him all the best, but please believe his contract is guaranteed. They're gonna pay him out. He's getting fired, but he's gonna get paid his money. And honestly, it's college football. This kind of stuff happens all the time. In 2 years, he'll be back on somebody's staff and be trying to work his way up to a head coaching position again. So like, it's nothing to cry about.
Okay, that is fascinating. I need to read up more on that. The only two sports stories that I am equipped to talk about right now are me playing golf with Brett and Jordan this weekend, and probably doing terribly because I haven't played in a while, and that we are about 1 month out from the launch of the second season of Unrivaled, the women's 3-on-3 basketball league, which I think is a lot of fun. Other than that, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, Amanda Oken, member for 40 months, says, "Hey John, have Crockett on the show and call her out about AIPAC." Well, we have tried to get her on the show in the past and we have been unsuccessful. In her defense, she is very popular and thus difficult to book. But I mean, none of them come on the show. They just don't. And I think I'm a nice guy. I don't like. Am I an ass? I mean, I guess I'm kind of an ass, but I wouldn't be an ass towards them. I'm a nice guy. I'm respectable or whatever. I mean, I know that thing happened with the preview monitor early, but I feel like I'm pretty respectable, but they don't come on the show, unfortunately. We got Rokana, yeah, Raskin sometimes. I think I had Pramila Jayapal once, and that's pretty much it. But anyway, we'll keep trying. Grizzly Dragon, member for 38 months, says, "Merry Christmas, John et al. Yay, Woz. Katie Wilson, socialist who won the mayoral race in Seattle. She's on your coast. Maybe invite her to the show." Maybe that's a possibility. Maybe we could do that. We had a couple of suggestions for people to bring on recently that we are reaching out to. We will see. We will see. Okay. Let's see. Oh, there we go. We have 1 minute. VDJ D-Rock OKC has been here for 54 months on Twitch, says getting close to my age. Damn. Yeah, the numbers keep getting bigger. Little Cake with Sprinkles, 61 months, says it's my anniversary and was the guest. Excellent. It is excellent. Layla Sims, 3-stream streak, says, yeah, I'm so happy to have a streak with John. Thank you for being here. Ozal 84, 66 months, says 65 months here, but TYT since 2014. Yeah, it's I think we started like right in the pandemic. I think on Twitch is probably when we began that. But thank you to everybody who's been supporting the show since long before these sorts of trackers were a thing. Socrates Bartender's on a 7-stream streak. Thank you to all of you. And Galfar wants me to watch the Supergirl trailer. I skimmed through it a little bit. I'm not really a DC guy, but I like the actress. She was on House of the Dragon in the first season. So maybe I'll give it a try. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, lots more news to get to as we jump ahead to healthcare coming up after this. Okay, everybody, I know a lot of you are concerned about healthcare premiums going up. Don't worry, the Republicans are making some moves. Let's take a look.
We have some low-hanging fruit. We have some things that every Republican agrees to. Democrats won't. Remember, they don't actually want to fix this problem. But you're going to see a package come together that will be on the floor next week that will actually reduce premiums for 100% of Americans who are on health insurance.
Yeah, Mike Johnson, when you're telling a self-serving lie, don't do the creepy little smirk that you do right in the middle of it. Wait until you walk off camera, then do the creepy little smirk about how satisfied you are that you're serving your donors rather than the American people. So yeah, they have low-hanging fruit that every Republican agrees on. Is that supposed to make us feel better that it's something all Republicans agree on? I'll tell you what it is. You will not be surprised that all Republicans agree on effectively taking money and injecting it into Wall Street. It's not actually gonna help you. You're gonna be utterly screwed if you actually need your health care to come through for you, but it will be a nice infusion of money into propping up Wall Street, which, yeah, Republicans are in support of that. So they have a proposal, which, by the way, I think it already failed. I think the first proposal has already failed in the voting. The Democrats also have one that's being voted on today. I'm sure that has also failed. All of this is a dog and pony show or whatever, a donkey and elephant show. But the Republican proposal would have done away with the enhanced tax credit. So just done, we're done with that. And instead, they'd take the extra money from those tax credits and put it into health savings accounts for those who purchase bronze level or catastrophic plans on the ACA exchanges. Republicans say this will help Americans pay for out-of-pocket costs. Under the plan, individuals earning less than 700% of the federal poverty level would receive $1,000 in HSA funding for those between age 18 and 49. But if you're older, don't worry, you get $1,500. Yeah, so that'll take care of it. I mean, what do you even need health insurance for after that? If you break a hip or you get cancer or something, you just hand over the $1,000 and I'm sure you'll be totally fine. This is ridiculous. Do they know what healthcare costs? Have they asked ChatGPT, maybe Gemini? I've heard that's a good model. This isn't going to actually help any, I don't think most dental procedures would be covered with that. But what it does do is take that money and it goes into the stock market. It's not enough to actually make much of a difference for any individual, but in sum, when you pile it all up, that's a lot of money artificially inflating stocks. And all of these a-holes, including Mike Johnson, own a lot of stocks. And so you'll be left out, screwed if you actually get sick and need your health care. But the companies that they actually represent will do well, and they individually will do well. And so, again, not surprised that every Republican is eager to vote for this thing. Now, the only other stuff that really matters in this, although it again has failed, the proposal also requires states to verify citizenship and immigration status before coverage to avert illegal immigrants from accessing Medicaid, which again, they already cannot. In addition, the proposal would prevent the use of funds for abortions and gender-affirming care, the two things that Republicans can't go 2 seconds without thinking of. And again, if you're new, There are like 35 overlapping things stopping any dollar from ever being used for an abortion. And yet every new bill they pass has to have another performative thing that stops it from being used on an abortion. And now they add on the transing the kid stuff. This is identity politics, Christian national garbage gone out of control. But that's the sideshow. Woz, the important thing is, we're done with the subsidies, and we're not doing anything more substantive. We're certainly not going to single-payer health care. All we're doing is we'll give you $1,000. What do you think?
So this is perfect for me because just yesterday I was at my dentist and I got 2 wisdom teeth pulled. Oh, mind you, I have phenomenal health care via my company. It cost me $970 out of pocket.
Oh, so it would have covered it. No, that's ridiculous.
Would have covered my tooth extraction. One visit to the freaking oral surgeon.
Yeah.
Like you said, God forbid I break an elbow somehow, or I need some type of surgery because I'm 38 now, or I'd like whatever. I fall and bump my head, whatever. God forbid something horrible happens to me. How the hell is $1,000 gonna cover it? Again, I just told y'all, I have incredible, what's considered to be by our American standards, incredible health insurance coverage. So this is just a joke. And the problem is, and you mentioned single payer, the problem is the Republicans, they've branded themselves as Obamacare hating people, which is just Republican Heritage Foundation answer to healthcare. It's a market-based healthcare system, which we all universally agree across the ideological spectrum that it freaking sucks. Okay, so what option does that leave us with? Single payer public option, which of course the Republicans are diametrically opposed to. So there's nothing. All that's left is suffering, John. That's it.
Yeah. I just, again, pragmatically, realistically, that's all that's left. Obviously, like, we're in a sea of countries that have figured out a different way to do it.
Oh God.
I'm gonna end with this. This is amazing. I saw this going around. Rand Paul on his healthcare plan. What if you could join Costco? Costco has 44 million members, and if one person negotiated for all 44 million and they bought a group plan like Toyota or General Motors does, they would be the largest collective entity in the country. They would drive prices down by sheer might. And as a lot of people point out in the replies to that, that's what single payer is. Why does it have to go through Costco? You're the goddamn government. Why don't we do it in the government? And then it wouldn't be 44 million people. It'd be 250, 300 million people. And that would drive down through sheer force the prices. But for some stupid ideological reason, they can't even see it, let alone put it into practice. Even though it would work, it does work right now in so many countries. Instead, we got to do this stupid thing where you invest your $1,000 in the stock market. Hopefully you go 7 years without ever needing to go to the doctor. And then it'll have doubled to $2,000 and then you'll really be safe. You'll be totally fine at that point. All of this is so stupid. But anyway, again, this is about their money, not about what happens to us. And we have another example of that starting with this.
Look, at least let them engage in some stock trading so that they can continue to take care of their family.
So that is Mike Johnson making very clear that unless you allow these representatives to trade individual stocks with the privileged information they have, engaging in insider trading, you'd call it for anyone else if they were doing this, then they can't take care of their family. These people who are on average are worth more than $1 million, who make the better part of $200,000 a year. Their kids would starve. They would they'd die freezing in the winter if they couldn't trade Tesla stock based on a meeting with Elon Musk or whatever. That's what he would have you believe. Now, this is obviously corrupt, it's obviously self-serving, but why is he talking about it now? Well, because the only thing that has allowed actual stuff to get done in the House in the past year, discharge petitions, there's another one coming. It's being pushed by Representative Paulina Luna, specifically to stop at least some of this insider trading. And here she is talking about it.
My legislation to ban insider trading is being taken so seriously that I'm hearing that both Leader Hakeem Jeffries and the Speaker and potentially House leadership are considering sending members home because they don't want to have members sign on to the legislation overwhelmingly supported by the American people to ban insider trading. So I think that, obviously this place can be a pressure cooker. You guys know this being in the press. I think every single member of Congress will tell you that. But again, we're not going to stop fighting. I can understand the frustrations, but I'm here to deliver wins. And I think that we're going to get a win. We'll get negotiations for sure. I just hope that CNN continues to put pressure on some of my colleagues to get onto that legislation.
Okay, so we have given her a little bit of credit on this in the past because I want to see this sort of trading stopped. We're gonna give her some credit. We're not giving her all the credit because there are still massive gaps in her bill that would allow a lot of this sort of corruption to go on. And look, she's right about Johnson. Johnson might literally shut down the House again. That's he always takes his toys and just goes home if he doesn't like how other people are playing. Jeffries also deserves some criticism, although he's got a good cover story at least. He says, if she's interested in dealing with corruption, do something about the active ongoing crime scene coming out of 1600 Pennsylvania Ave, the most corrupt administration in American history, and it's not even close. We don't hear a peep from her or from any of her colleagues about even extending the stock ban to the executive branch, to Donald Trump, to JD Vance, or perhaps even to the Supreme Court. And look, I think it should cover all of those people. It should be way broader. And let's be very clear about why Paulina Luna is not doing that. It's because she doesn't care if Donald Trump engages in the exact sort of corruption she has a problem with her colleagues doing. Or at the very least, she's too terrified that were she to stop him from doing that he would nuke her from orbit on True Social. So it's either corruption or cowardice. Let's be clear about that. Now that said, I think something is better than nothing. I would rather the Democrats sign on to this and at the very least get the precedent that in the House they're not doing this sort of thing, maybe in the Senate too, and then maybe we expand that to the executive branch eventually. Because one way or another, we've got to stop some of this corruption. I mean, Woz, I know you've seen the stories over the years. They come in and they start making a killing. Nancy Pelosi, it happens on the Democratic and the Republican side. What do you think?
I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, we won't be the first to point out she's retiring, but like she's built up a nice nest egg in her time in Congress. She's filthy rich now. All of them are getting paid off of this. It's quite disgusting. I mean, you have your outliers like your Bernies and AOCs who are like take a principled stance against this. But like, bro, like they're all getting filthy rich. She's not some pure actor, Paulina Luna at all. Like she sucks. Let's keep it 1,000, right? But at the same time, I think this is a fantastic start. The bill that she's introduced, of course it should extend to Trump. Of course it should extend to, but that's the crazy thing. It extends to the cabinet. You can't take a cabinet position and actually, not be divested from certain stocks and all of that stuff. Like we have these rules in place for people in government, just not the House and the Senate and the executive branch, which is insane to me. But yeah, she sucks. She's a Trump sycophant, but like I would still love to see this bill to get a vote taken on it and pass.
Yeah. Look, 70% of voters support banning lawmakers from trading these stocks. That we're a democracy, right? We're told, shouldn't that be a slam dunk? 70%. And by the way, in terms of extending it to the president, we previously never would have had to even think about this because they just wouldn't engage in that sort of obvious corruption for the most part. But unfortunately, Donald Trump decided, it's a norm. I'm not gonna be bound by that. I'm not even bound by the law. You think a norm is gonna stop me? So when we say that we need to finally fix some of these holes, this is a great example of finally doing that. And I also just wanna remind everyone, this would not stop them from investing. It would stop them from trading individual stocks. They could still invest in mutual funds and index funds. They could make money as the economy improves. And not even the economy improves, Wall Street improves. That is what is not enough for Mike Johnson. It's not enough that they get the return on investment. They need to be able to make specific targeted purchases and sales using the information they get that you don't have. That is how wildly, cartoonishly corrupt this is. And that is what Mike Johnson is fighting to defend. Okay, we're gonna take our second break of the hour. On the other side, we got a little bit of lighter stuff, and then maybe we'll be able to fit in the updates on the strikes in the Caribbean after this. And let me just also say, banning them now in the future from trading stocks is already a massive compromise with these people. They have engaged in rampant out of control insider trading. They should be in jail for having done that already. We're saying we won't lock you up. We'll just stop you from doing the future. You can keep all of your ill-gotten gains from the past, and somehow that compromise isn't enough for these criminals. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, let's see what's going on out there. Cabbage says in the members' comments, it would cost me $200 for a monthly anticoagulation check, like 2 minutes, if not for insurance. Yeah, well then that $1,000 isn't gonna stretch that far necessarily just for that. Carlin, the True Prophet, says that smirk is the one MAGA Mike gets when he uses a burner phone to surf porn without his son knowing, a reference to that truly bizarre story. Imagine what you would think if you found out years from now that I had set up a thing like that with my kid. How weird you'd think I was. And we just give him a pass because he's so obviously weird, it like disappears in the wash. Over 9,000 says, if Mike Johnson ever looked anything up or even turned on the news, he wouldn't be able to use his go-to. I don't know about that. Yeah, we have reached peak I don't know about that from both Mike Johnson and Donald Trump. Neither of them know about anything you ask them about, even actions they've taken. Mike Johnson supposedly doesn't even know who Donald Trump is, and Donald Trump doesn't know what any of his pardons are. It's ridiculous. And this is from, the party that tells us they're all about individual responsibility and all that. Okay, let's see. Stickman Grit says, are y'all gonna cover the fact that OpenAI completely crashed the DRAM market and are gonna make the price of everything tech start skyrocketing? Perhaps. I'm gonna have to look into it more. It's not necessarily my field of expertise or whatever. We were seeing related stories that Disney has now made this massive content licensing deal with OpenAI. I don't know, Woz, if you saw that.
Yeah, they want to get kids. They want to get kids addicted to Disney AIs.
Yep. 100%.
Not bleak, not dark at all.
Nope, not at all.
Just great.
And I love that they do that. And then instantly they also sue Gemini for copyright infringement. Yeah, they are infringing copyright, but they were doing that yesterday. But you guys didn't sue them yesterday. Why? Because they hadn't locked down which of them was gonna pay them more money to license the characters. So again, that's theirs to do, I guess. But the issue is that those characters, that's your IP, but an artist also made that. An actual human voiced them. It's technically theirs to sell. They shouldn't, but they can if they do. But I don't know, it's a lot of actual humans' work that is now going to be freely used by OpenAI. And again, for incredibly dark and dystopic goals, as Woz was alluding to right there. Okay, let's see. Skittlebutt Dragon Ras says, go ahead and shut it down again, Mike. See how that works out for you in the midterms. Well, so that sort of shutdown is almost certainly gonna happen, I think at the end of January. We're gonna do another one of these shutdown battles. This sort of shutdown is just, I think, like an early recess for the holidays. Because they've worked for 8 days now. They're getting real tired, they need to go home. But man, that dude, he fought so hard to become leader of a house that he never wants to be in session. Weird. Playful Squirrel Dragon says in the super chat, Greg Levi is running in Ohio, anti-war and worker funded. I'm gonna have to look him up. I'm not familiar with that candidacy, but I'll take your word on it that he's good. We'll hopefully find out soon. Okay, and we have some comment that's refusing to load in my document. I don't know what that was in reference to, but unfortunately we don't have that much time anyway. What we do have though on the other side of this is gonna be a lot more news, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Lots more news to close out the first hour, but before we do that, let me remind you about the partnership that TYT is doing with Noble Mobile, the only wireless plan that actually pays you to take back control of your data and your time and make a little bit of money at the same time. You can switch to Noble's No Bull plan and get unlimited data for only $50 a month. Then for any data you don't use, you get cash back that you can spend however you want. It's yours the way it should be. And people who switch to Noble save, they say on average of $500 to $1,000 a year on their phone bill. You could switch to Noble today by going to tyt.com/switch or scanning that QR code available on the screen to find out more. Okay, with that said, let's really lighten things up and just talk about a little bit of funny drama. We were mentioning Marjorie Greene. Let's delve into that genre for a second. While Marjorie Greene and Trump continue their feud, which has been escalating even just this week, there's one other person who finds himself weirdly caught in the middle here between those two, and that is Brian Glenn. Now, you probably don't know who Brian Glenn is. I don't want you to have to know who Brian Glenn is, but he's Marjorie Greene's boyfriend, and he's a reporter. He's a journalist because he's dating Marjorie Greene. So he gets to go to the White House, which is filled up with right-wing grifters or whatever. And he apparently, when the fight really blew up a month ago back, he avoided doing his job. He didn't go to the Oval Office because it was so uncomfortable, I guess. Which is such a, this is not how the government is supposed to run. It's such a weird, incestuous thing. But don't worry, it's gonna get metaphorically even more incestuous. He said to a Washington Post reporter, I didn't wanna make any awkward spaces. So I said, you know what? Let me just stay back this week. And that's such a loss for the American people who will be denied his journalistic insight and his tough, hard-hitting questions for a full week. But anyway, apparently he was still getting support from the White House. Carolyn Leavitt and Stephen Chung sent him kind notes about the strange thing that was going on, the drama and all that. But anyway, Glenn did speak out against Trump after Trump went after his girlfriend, not to Trump directly, but he made a comment to an actual reporter. He said, what are you talking about, man? She's one of your biggest supporters. He told me that day, says the reporter. It was a tougher line of questioning than I'd ever seen him pose to the president. Quote, she differs on a couple of issues, but she's still in your camp. She never left your camp. And he's not actually wrong there. She is still very much in alignment with Trump on a lot of issues. But here's what Brian Glenn goes on to say. I'm like the little divorced kid in the middle. Is there no other way that you could put it? That you're not only the kid, you call yourself the little kid, which that's interesting psychologically, but okay. And in this metaphor, Papa and Mama are fighting, but you're dating Mama in this? This is very strange, Brian Glenn. But also, why are you stuck between the two? Why do you have equal loyalty for Donald Trump and your girlfriend when Trump is being insane and Marjorie Greene's being as close to rational as she's ever been? How can you not be all the way on Mama's side? Especially because in this metaphor, you're sleeping with Mama. Anyway, Woz, we have a weird country. What do you make of it?
You're a grown ass man, bro. You have a job to do. Show up to your job. Obviously, these freaking Newsmax types and these crazy right-wing outlets, they're not our cup of tea. But goddamn, bro, just show up and do your job. Why is that so much to ask for? Oh, I'm scared. They're not gonna be nice to me. I'm scared. Get the hell out of here, bro. And I don't want to be that guy that's well, my side of the media is this. I work with a bunch of guys who work in sports media and gotta go to locker rooms. Literally, you gotta write something bad about a player and then literally show up the next day at his locker and ask him more questions. And you know that this guy looks at you as somebody who talked crap on him the day before. And this dude is 6'5". Oftentimes they're 6'10". You know what I mean? Yo, just
That's
show
scarier.
up and do your job, bro.
Yeah.
Why is this so hard for these people? But everything in DC, like you said, is just so incestuous.
Yeah.
They're all just, we're all just going to the same parties, eating dinner at the same restaurants, sleeping with the same people. It's all this just vicious, disgusting cycle. And these people can't shudder to think that, I might be outside the club for 2 days. It's just so annoying, man.
It's pathetic.
Grow a pair, sack up.
100%. And this is what you get when you just flood the politics, the media, and businesses with the worst people our country has.
Just to be equal opportunity, John. What's the female version of sacking up? Is it breasting up?
I don't want to guess. I have theories.
I don't
want to say
agreed with the breast up.
Breast up, man. Anyway, okay, but don't worry. He breasted up. He went back to work, and that is why we're again getting great, hard-hitting questions from true journalist Brian Glenn like this.
Good to see you, Mr. President. I follow up on the event last night in Pennsylvania. Huge crowd turned out there.
Big crowd.
It seemed like rally Trump was in prime condition last night. You enjoyed it. Can you just give me your thoughts on that?
It was an amazing evening, actually, and I think people really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. You could tell that.
I can tell that you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I really did.
Yeah, which did he enjoy more? Did he enjoy the rally more, or did he enjoy the journalistic tongue bath he just got from Brian Glenn live on TV right there? That's your question? Oh, you were in prime condition. He was so sleepy. He barely got any applause and everything. And huge crowd, Brian Glenn, huge crowd. It was 200 people in a venue that can fit 1,500. It was all empty seats, man. And also, Trump hasn't done a thing like this in months. Shouldn't there be like pent up demand? People should be fighting. They should be reselling the tickets on eBay. But instead, 1 in 7 maybe of the seats were actually filled. But that's what Brian Glenn did. Brian Glenn is willing to make himself look like an absolute weenie on the internet by not defending his girlfriend and instead being hands off with Trump just to maintain access to go into the Oval Office and ask questions like that. That's what you're fighting for? Ridiculous. Anyway.
And you know, the saddest part about all of this ball fondling that this guy's doing, that's not what earns you respect with these people.
Yeah.
Being a bootlicker does not earn their respect. They look at you as a clown. You don't get being like, you earn their respect by standing on your own too. And the fact that you go in there, you know, basically scared to death, and the first thing you do is shine a turd of a freaking rally, is spit shine the turd. It's embarrassing, dude.
Yeah.
It's a wonder your wife still wants to sleep with you.
Yeah, by the way,
sorry, they're not married. Put a ring on it, Brian.
Yeah, also, pressed up and put a ring on it anyway. Also, I just want to remind everyone, it isn't just that Trump called her a traitor and all that stuff. And by the way, imagine, like, imagine I'm Bernie Sanders is the president. No, let's say AOC. AOC is the president someday. And my wife, who's in media, she's asking questions, and AOC starts flaming my wife on social media, calling her a traitor. And then people come to me for comment. I'm like, oh, I don't want to say anything. What would you think of me?
It's crazy.
But it isn't just the comments. Marjorie and her son got hundreds of death threats. And when Trump was asked about it, he's like, nobody even cares about her. And Brian Glenn is like, I can't tell which I want to side with. So crazy. Anyway, let's get even more ridiculous. Let's end the show starting with this.
Do we love minors? I love minors.
Yeah, I'm worried about that, actually. I think a lot of people, even your base, are kind of worried about that. Not just because of comments like that, which probably I'm misconstruing, but also it isn't just that Trump was best friends with Epstein and that he maintained a relationship with him far longer than he's willing to admit to publicly, and he's trying and failing to cover up the whole thing with Epstein. It's not all that. Even once you set aside the substance, even once you go to the symbolic, just like the image of the whole thing, they were weirdly in line with each other. There was this meme going around comparing Donald Trump's new Oval Office, which he has single-handedly decorated, and Jeffrey Epstein's old living room. And you could see it right here. Occupy Democrats and other people were sending it around. It's the sort of thing you see it and you're like, well, that's probably fake, right? I mean, they're not both doing the gold curly cues and all that stuff. They're obviously they're using AI. It's a deep fake. But no, actually, if you look at this, Snopes checked it, you know. The top one, which is the top one? Is that the Oval Office or is that Epstein's living room?
I think the top one is the Epstein.
It is, I'm joking. But it isn't just that they both like the Roman columns and the gold applique. It's they both like the exact sort of strange squirrel tail swirls and everything. And this isn't a total just random happenstance. Trump hung out in that house. He partied in that living room. He probably did other stuff in that living room that I can't specifically say. And so, yeah, they checked into it, and yeah, they both have the exact same decorating style. The only question is who had it first? Who actually influenced the other one? I don't know. What do you think?
Who wore it better?
Yeah,
I have a question, John. Are you a WWE guy at all?
I am actually kind of a WWE guy.
All of this just reminds me of Gold Dust. That's it. You'll remember the name of Gold Dust. That's all this reminds me of.
Yeah.
Okay, for the non-WWE people out there, Goldust was this great character that they had of Dusty Rhodes' son.
Yes.
Was like a very famous character, and he was like kind of toiling, but then he found this Goldust angle where he was like kind of like a flamboyant, vaguely homoerotic kind of wrestler, and his like superpower was that he made the other wrestlers uncomfortable with how like sexual and homoerotic he was, and his whole thing was just gold, everything, and that's what Donald Trump's tastes remind me of. He's a Gold Dust figure.
Yeah, he's a Gold Dust. He's a gold member. He's one of those totally over the top things. By the way, Gold Dust's younger brother, Cody Rhodes, who eventually for a bit he was Stardust for a while. He's now one of the biggest stars. He's the champion
he's great. He's the man now. Yeah,
he's great. Yeah, no, he's actually pretty awesome. But anyway, yeah, that was very much a WWE in the '90s sort of thing. Which also, so was Donald Trump. Donald Trump was on WWE TV. It's possible he watched Gold Dust. Maybe he liked his style, and that's where it all came from. I can't say for sure. But anyway, yes, this one was checked, and it's true. They do have the same decorating style. Okay, unfortunately, I don't think we have enough time to do the strikes right now, so that's gonna have to wait. Galfar is asking, you and JR need to do a segment on Monday about John Cena's last match this Saturday at Saturday night's main event. I'm gonna try to watch it. I haven't watched one of the pay-per-views live in several months because they switched over to doing it on this ESPN streaming app, which I don't have. But I think I can watch that one. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that PLE. It's got a couple of good matches on it. Cody Rhodes will be competing at that actually against this guy Obafemi, who's pretty awesome. You aren't an active watcher of wrestling.
I'm not, right? Man. I pretty much fell off in the year 2001. Yeah, the second I discovered high school girls, I got the freshman year of high school, and it was over. I just fell off completely. But like Attitude Era, that was all me. The Hardy Boys, X-Pac. You know, The Rock, Stone Cold, all of that stuff. But I started early. I would have said it's from like 5 years old. I was watching Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior and Bob Backlund and all this crazy stuff.
Old school,
I was obsessed with wrestling as a kid.
I was pretty much just like 98 to 2001. And then I also discovered High School Girls and discovered that they weren't interested in me. So I watched a little bit more wrestling for a while, actually. But anyway, and then I randomly, there was this movie that came out called Fighting with My Family. It was about a Paige, one of the wrestlers, and Florence Pugh starred in it. I watched that, and that got me back into wrestling around the beginning of like 2023. So for the last like 2 years, we've been watching again. And it might have just gone away, but in 2023, my wife bought us tickets to WrestleMania, which was in SoFi Stadium. And so that like cemented it, and I've been watching ever since. But anyway, that is unfortunately all the time we have for either politics or WWE nostalgia. So thank you to everybody who's been watching. If you are streaming live, we have more coming up in the aftermath, so don't go anywhere. Waz and I will be back after this.
minors. I love minors.
Welcome back to the Aftermath, one and all. I'm here, Woz is here as well. We got a lot of great stories to talk about. Before we jump into the news, I just wanted to make sure you don't forget about our sponsor, Noble Mobile. You can save money by using your phone less data, get some time back and unlimited data for $50 a month. You can go to 2it.com/switch to find out more. And now let's have a little bit of fun as a little bit more pushback from MAGA against something Donald Trump is doing. We're seeing more and more of that recently. Here it is.
$5 million. For $5 million, this could be yours. It'll be out in about less than 2 weeks. We've just launched the Trump Gold Card. It was about 30 minutes from now. The site goes up. It's somewhat like a green card, but with big advantages over a green card.
Yeah, so I love that my producer threw them 36 weeks later. So he was so excited. They had print out at Kinko's this little stupid looking gold card, $5 million, and it has certain advantages. You know, like you just have to have money. If you're rich, you can just become a citizen or whatever. You can just come in. So it's an advantage from a really elitist point of view. So $5 million, it's gonna take 2 weeks. Okay, 36 weeks pass. Now, by the way, it is actually coming out. Supposedly, we might find out in a couple weeks that it isn't really, but it also now only costs $1 million. Now, they're not being forthcoming about why it actually is that they cut 80% off the cost. The only plausible explanation could be that there weren't enough takers at $5 million, and so they decided to cut it down. But now, for just $1 million, you can get effectively your green card, and you can carry around one of the most gaudy, terrible pieces of paper ever. But like, look, me having an issue with this, other Dems, libs having an issue with this, nobody's surprised about that, okay? No, that's nothing. Everybody expects that. But MAGA actually has a problem with this, and it's all over social media because, as always, Donald Trump does something like this, he wants to brag about it. So he starts posting all over the place. And the White House on Twitter was posting as well. And a lot of the replies coming in from blue check marks and MAGA people is not at all positive. So you have Thielen saying, yeah, so all the higher paying jobs could be taken by immigrants who bought the position instead of taking the lower paying jobs that not enough people want to work. Well, I agree with you there, but if you actually believe that, then why are we deporting the regular people who will do those jobs? Again, like, have you looked at the rest of his policy platform? Anyway, Skip says, we don't need to be bringing in anyone. There is no job that Americans can't or won't do. That is a lie. I mean, tell that to the employers, I guess, who are telling you that there's jobs they can't pay Americans to do, but whatever, at least he's pushing back. We have the best and the brightest here in America. Try giving them jobs instead of taking away their dreams. And it just kind of goes on and on. He lost Goomba. Goomba says, this is how you lose your base. This is how Democrats grab a massive majority in the midterms. Lutnick is a cancer and Trump is a corrupt, greedy boomer. Damn. Now, I don't know what his theory is, that we gain a massive advantage, because of the people who come in and they vote for Democrats. I don't really get that, but this is somebody who is like lost it over this. And remember, the whole thing about the visas and bringing in tech people and Trump bad-mouthing our workers, that has been a sore spot for him among MAGA for quite a while right now. And so we can show you more of those comments. No one voted for this, not importing a foreign elite. This is like I don't agree with almost anything they're saying and the weird xenophobia and racism and all that. But this is them being consistent. They want only Americans here. They don't want them bringing other people, and they're actually willing to, sort of like, thumb their nose at Trump over it. Woz, what do you think?
I mean, I think obviously they have a point. This is maddening. This is ridiculous. I know there's a certain strain of anti-immigrant right-wingers who are like, oh, these poor people from South and Central America, they have nothing to add to the country. Yet, or these H-1B visas, they're taking good jobs from perfectly capable, Americans. But to me, man, like this $1 million visa, all this is, if you live in Los Angeles, if you've ever lived in New York, if you've ever lived in Miami, all of these crazy luxury, the only thing that ever gets built are these luxury houses, luxury apartment buildings and condos and all of that. Who the hell do you think is buying this stuff? It's a global elite. They've turned New York City, especially Manhattan, and even places in Brooklyn. They've turned Los Angeles, they turned Miami into a playground for the global elite. We're talking about Chinese nationals, Saudi nationals, Russian nationals, you name it. All of the Gulf countries, a bunch of rich Chinese people, because a bunch of Russians, because a lot of these rich people see American real estate as a very safe place to park their money. So one day the CCP might say, we're seizing your assets. One day Vladimir Putin might say, we're seizing your assets. One day MBS in Saudi Arabia might say, we're seizing your assets. But guess what, in America, the money that I've plunged into these, luxury condos and big ass houses in Beverly Hills and all of that stuff, that's gonna be there. That's safe, and I'll always have those nest eggs, right? And in the meantime, what is that doing when these ultra rich foreign nationals are buying these exorbitant properties at these exorbitant prices? It's driving up the price of property and rentals for everybody else. Everyday working people, accountants and school bus drivers and garbage men. Like, this is horrible for everybody. This idea that we need to be courting some global elite to come here, that they could just buy their way in to make everybody's life worse for the wearer, who have no attachment, they have no investment in the American project as a society, as a community, and they're just extracting shit from us. It's insane.
Yeah, well, and they, at the very least, they have infinitely less attachment to our country than the regular migrant who comes in to work, build a family, stay here for decades. They don't have $1 million, I guess, but that's the only thing they're lacking over these elites, 100%. And so, like, why does Trump really? I think he's always been super disconnected from the real world, but he could message his way around it. Like, it's why all these poor white conservatives think that he would spend a second with them, but I don't think he can do it anymore. The reason he's doing this and why he doesn't understand why the tweets look the way they do is, like, a lot of regular MAGA people previously thought that it was them and him against the rest of the world. No, he likes these elites. That's his people. He infinitely feels so much more warmth for some random millionaire from Russia or from Qatar or whatever, or even from China, than a regular person queuing up in line to go to his rallies. He has class solidarity way past anything having to do with MAGA or even a person being a native born American or whatever. And thankfully, at least some MAGA people seem to be waking up to that. So anyway, I just want to briefly mention, because we couldn't help but notice that his face is all over the now $1 million gold card. That's not the only place he wants you to see it. I mean, sure, it might be on like the dollar coin soon. There's a battle going on over that. But also, Trump wants his face on images of national parks on some annual passes, and environmental groups are suing to stop the change. Let's jump ahead to graphic 5 so you can see it. He wants, his face is gonna be under America the Beautiful, which I think is funny, ironically. But especially when this dude has been doing so much to destroy our natural environment. You wanna brand our national parks with your face, buddy? I really hope these groups are successful. Final thoughts, Woz?
When you think American beauty, of course, the first thing that comes to your mind is Donald Trump. I mean, come on now. Everybody just loves that beautiful spray tan and the beautiful locks of luscious hair. I mean, he's perfect. That puffy face. Oh, we love it.
Nice thick cankles. Oh, you just want to wrap your arms almost all the way around one of them. Yeah, that face like old beaten goat leather. Yeah, he's a beautiful man. Anyway, so we'll see if that ends up succeeding. Let's jump into a couple comments. We have 2 more stories we want to talk about. I think we're okay on time. Tai Chi Chuan Dragon says, gotta love that really sexy neck vagina. Oh, it's like hugging a giraffe. Okay, Diana Nicole had said, great job on CNN, John. Thank you, I appreciate it. I did my best with the limited time I had. Hopefully they'll bring me back, we'll see. I tried not to scare them away too much. I didn't say the term neck vagina on air, so I think I did okay to control myself. Okay, with that said, we don't do a lot of like pop culture adjacent news here on the show, even though I desperately would like to, but I found one excuse. Okay, we're gonna talk a little bit about one actor or actress. Let's jump into this. Amanda Seyfried is apparently not effing apologizing after the pressure that she's received from right-wingers over the things she said after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. She responded to people saying, you need to take back the memes that you posted, saying, I mean, for F's sake, I commented on one thing. I said something that was based on actual reality and actual footage and actual quotes. What I said was pretty damn factual, and I'm free to have an opinion, of course. And so why are we talking about this? One, I think she's a good actress, and I love that she's being bold and not backing down. I think that she's been great in a lot that she's done. But also, because I think this is emblematic of, thankfully, after a couple of months, there's been a real turn in how free people are to just be honest and admit reality around Charlie Kirk, his wife, the organization, all of that stuff. Because immediately after the killing, which was tragic and was terrible and shouldn't have happened, there was an all-out effort to stamp out anyone acknowledging who Charlie Kirk had been. And there was a lot of pressure, and a lot of, especially celebrities, didn't want to weigh in, didn't want to get involved in it because it might, end up losing them, a project or a little bit of money. And so I appreciate when someone doesn't do that. And Amanda Seyfried is a great example of that. And just for context, what it is that she actually said that the right is constantly trying to get her to apologize for. There had been this post called Get to Know the Man You're Eulogizing. And all the post did on the different slides you could click to was just show different quotes of his, things that he said, not just things he said to build his brand, to draw attention, to make money, to earn audience share and all that stuff. He was super happy to have out there when it was benefiting him. But as soon as his allies realized it really paints him in a really negative light, all of a sudden you're not supposed to acknowledge it. And so she said in response to that, you can see down below, he was hateful. That's it, that's her opinion. You may not like that, and that's fine. You can complain about it. You can even post about it. But this is goddamn America. She's allowed to have that opinion. I think it's based in some pretty firm evidence there, and it was provided in that post. She eventually posted this on her stories. You can't invite violence to the dinner table and be shocked when it starts eating. Now you might say that's unfair or whatever, but it's her interpretation that that's what he and others like him were doing. And there has been a lot of normalization of calls for violence and brutality and all that. And that is now the world that we live in. I didn't try to bring that world, but I think a case can be made that people like Charlie Kirk, his organization, and others who have patterned themselves after him did do that. And regardless of whether you agree with that, she's able to have that opinion. And so a lot of people are really freaked out. Even in replies to this article, there's tons of people saying she was justifying the assassination, which she objectively was not doing. People saying that you should boycott her for spreading a lie that he's hateful. You could boycott her if you want to. You're not obligated to go see any movies. But it's not a lie to say that he's hateful. It's an opinion to say that he's hateful. And we've lost a lot of free speech over the last year, over the last period, especially in social media. But I think you should still be able to say if you think a person's hateful. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought this was America, people. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's just, I don't know, man. The reaction that they had was so over the top, and I think a lot of it was bolstered by the media in general, in the sense that if what you do is talk for a living, you do punditry, you see a fellow pundit get shot, I think a lot of them lost their bearings because just in a way that's completely understandable. It literally hits close to home where somebody you see as a peer gets killed for basically doing the same job as you. And that's what it feels like. And I think they did have a bit of an overreaction on both sides of the aisle, to be honest with you. But then the right just took it so far with this deification that is just like, guys, it was Charlie fucking Kirk. To give me a break, bro. He was a Republican operative, he was a pundit, he was a provocateur. He wasn't some martyr. He didn't die for some crazy cause. And in fact, man, his ministry was that a certain amount of violence in America is acceptable because we need to have a rampant, gun problem in this country. Like that's his actual stance. These are his words. This idea that but you got to break some eggs to make an omelet. Meaning people getting shot to death to make the omelet of the Second Amendment bloom, right? And so it was always out of step with anything being even close to reasonable. And the further we are away from it, it's like, if you've seen some of this stuff with Charlie Kirk now, he's just a meme now. The internet just takes no prisoners. I don't know if you listened to that Charlie Kirk song that's out there.
No.
Oh my God, I gotta find it and send it to you. It's actually insane. They just miscalculated this thing, and I think it was the heat of the moment. This tamp down, and Charlie Kirk is our Jesus Christ of the right, and deifying this
Madness.
dude, and there just was no there. They're deifying a guy that did what? That did podcasts.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
Yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous, and I love the story as a representation of the fact that they're still kind of trying to do it. Erica Kirk hasn't taken a day off, which again, she can grieve however she wants.
Hey man,
it's months of interviews.
Hey man, the money don't make itself. Come on now.
Allegedly, but yeah, I look. And by the way, when it happened, there were some people who were posting some stuff that I definitely would not, even if I wasn't doing this job, I wouldn't post. That's not. But if you want to post just a quote of his, you can do that, man, or at least you should be able to do that. I want to fight for a country where you're still able to do that, but there's a lot of people that free speech is a slogan. That's all it ever was. And you pointed out, a little bit of violence is okay. Wait, not us. It's supposed to be elementary school kids that get shot and people in churches.
Kindergartners.
They're supposed to be being shot, not us. Not
Churchgoers. People at the AME church in South Carolina, that's who gets shot.
Exactly. And so again, he shouldn't have been shot. I don't want people doing this sort of work to have to live in fear. Nothing like this should happen. But just because it happens, it doesn't make him Martin Luther King Jr., man. It does. He's Ben Shapiro. He's Michael Knowles. He's Matt Walsh. That's what he is. He's one of those people propped up by big donors or whatever to create a media infrastructure. And that's fine. You shouldn't be killed as a result of that. But you're not a historic figure, and we don't need statues of you.
John, I've shared the Charlie Kirk song with producer Ash and you. If there's any way we could play at least a minute of this beautiful Charlie Kirk record.
Ash, can we do that?
Ash said no, absolutely
Ash is saying no. Okay, I haven't seen it, so I don't want to. She was just shaking her head. You can't see her on camera, but yeah, she was just shaking her head. Okay, I will watch it though. I can promise that. Apparently, I'm seeing in the chat that Hassan sings it a lot on his stream.
It's too good. It's too good.
We'll see. Okay, I don't know. Don't kill me, everybody. Okay, that got really serious. That got really dark. So we're gonna lighten things up by talking about something absolutely ridiculous to close out the show with the minutes we have remaining. Let's jump into this. Speaker Mike Johnson is apparently getting frustrated about the fact that the guy in the White House he supports keeps saying utterly insane things, and then you expect him, Mike Johnson, to respond to it, to agree or disagree like he's an actual leader, like he's an actual man. And it's really impolite of you to do that. Take a look.
You referred to countries like Somalia as countries. If you're okay with that kind of language.
Look, I'm baited every day with asking to be asked to comment about what the president or other members say.
It's the president of the United States. Don't you have an opinion on it?
Well, of course I have an opinion. That's not the way I speak, and you know that.
Okay, I mean that was a country mile away from condemnation, more than we normally expect out of him. But the reason that you're baited is because Trump is terrible and Trump is insane, and sometimes terrible and insane, sometimes just insane. So I'm gonna play a clip for you. Maybe this is something Mike Johnson will have to quickly walk away from a question regarding tomorrow, but it has to do with Donald Trump and 6G. Take a look.
So we're into 6G now. I just 5G. I was a leader on 5G getting that done, and now they're up to 6.
Let's do it again.
What does that do? Give you a little bit deeper view into somebody's skin? See how perfect it is? I like the cameras the old days. So they just had a nice feature. Now they cover every little. Let's see, Michael, you're in good shape. You're not gonna. But I tell you, it's the 6 is coming, huh?
So
Is he confusing 4K with 5G?
I think that's what it is. But bear in mind, he said I was a leader on 5G. So he's telling you, I know what this is. And 6G shows too much of your skin, and then they cover it up, I guess like AI filters or something. It's not the camera, bozo.
He's losing it, man. He's sleepy Don. He's losing it. Man. He's done. He's cool.
He thinks it's the camera.
Oh my God.
That is madness. Why would, first of all, wait, you think that every phone has the same camera? Like they all get turned to 6G? That's not how that works at all.
We're on the defeating Medicare part of the program, guys. And I think people are finally starting to realize it. Like the falling asleep over and over in public, the just complete incoherence. This is nuts.
Yeah.
He doesn't look good in 4K. It's true. Of course he knows that.
I would be worried about 6G as well if I thought it was a camera thing. But yeah, he can't keep up. And for a lot of people, that'll happen to all of us inevitably. I'm sure there's lots of tech stuff I don't follow anymore or whatever. But like he's in charge of 1.32 million active duty military personnel, 4,000 nuclear weapons. And he thinks the thing that he deployed and deserves credit for is 5G cameras across America. And by the way, like this is the least important part of this. 6G isn't here. It's not going to be deployed for like 5, 7, 10 years. So I don't even know what he's talking about with the 6G. And by the way, does anybody even care about 5G? After all that hoopla, has it actually changed anybody's life? I don't think that it really has. It gave some people, COVID in the UK or whatever. But other than that, it hasn't really had an effect. Man, I know this is not an important story. And I know you don't need to be convinced that his brain is tapioca pudding.
Oh my God, he's cooked, amazing. John. He's done. Because totally I'm parsing it. I'm like, wait, the skit. Oh, Trump knows he looks horrible in freaking 4K. And he's like, damn, they're making cameras even stronger than that.
He's running scared. Anyway, okay. Or maybe he just needs some sleep. The dude's very tired these days. Yeah.
Lay off the fish fillets, Jesus.
Exactly. Well, that sounds pretty good right now. Okay, that is all the time we have for the show, for fish fillets, for WWE. It was a pleasure as always having you here. Where can people watch more of your work?
Much love to you guys, man. Please listen to our new show, No Fouls Given, wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube with me, former NBA legends and NBA champions, Paul Pierce and Danny Green. Those drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So go get that wherever you get your podcast. No Fouls Given, co-hosted by myself and 2 NBA legends.
That's awesome.
Also, we are Charlie Kirk.
I haven't seen it yet. I don't know the reference yet. I'm gonna have to look. But anyway,
watch that video.
Okay, I will as soon as we're done. Everybody out there, thank you for watching today. Brett's gonna be here tomorrow. We'll be doing our garbage people and our heroes of the week. So head over to the post tab on YouTube. You can vote on those. For now, stay safe out there. Stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.